Lauren Windsor, who does the show Undercurrent on the TYT network, has done a brilliant job of exposing what has happened at a Koch summit on June 16th. Now, these are the billionaires, Charles and David Koch. They bring together their top strategists, top Republican politicians. Sometimes in the past, they brought together Supreme Court justices as well, all the different branches of government that they have bought, and incredibly rich donors. And the donors basically tell the politicians how they're going to vote. Recently, we saw that Mitch McConnell said that that the Republican Party would be nowhere without the Koch brothers, which is pretty much right. Those are the guys who help fund their unpopular policies and get them elected by giving them a ton of money with which they buy deceptive ads. Now, we have more developments in that story. First, we're going to start with Richard Fink. Well, he is considered their top political strategist. He was introduced in this group as their grand strategist by their MC, Kevin Gentry. Let's give you first a little sampling of what he said here and how he views people that are not in that incredibly opulent hotel room.
I grew up with pretty much very little, okay? And I worked my butt off, get what I can. So these people like on the street and on the work that's listen. Get off your ass and work hard like we did. We didn't use it.
The audio, as you can see, is hard to hear, but it has been transcribed if you're watching the show. And there he says about people in the street, he says, I worked really hard. Why don't you get up off your ass and work hard too? That's their dismissive attitude. By the way, they shut down the whole hotel to hold this convention, paid nearly $1 million, about $870,000. That doesn't even include their security and everything else, just to rent out the whole hotel so they would have some privacy as they got together in their smoke-filled or non-smoke-filled rooms and hatched their conspiracies on how to take over and buy our government. So here's a guy saying, I worked my ass off. Now that's hilarious because his job is to kiss Koch brother ass. So you worked your ass off at kissing their ass. Wow, that's a really hard job. God, you're such a hard worker. And he has this mentality of people who aren't rich like them and can't afford to shut down a hotel at $870,000 for the weekend. Well, you just didn't work hard enough. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg in baddie ideas. We're going to next go to Charles Koch himself, who's going to tell us his thoughts.
Challenge me that what would you do if you weren't afraid? And that was at a time when David and I were put squarely in front of the firing squad. I don't mean just over on the side as in David and Koch. We were squarely in front of the firing squad.
Isn't that amazing? These guys who have combined around $80 billion, $80 billion, they think that they're the victims. The poor Koch brothers, they're crying there to their billionaire friends. Oh, we're right in front of the firing squad. You guys are the ones buying all the politicians. In the last election cycle, they use a lot of dark money, so it's hard to trace. At a minimum, they spent $400 million buying our government, buying our politicians. And then they say, oh, poor us, we're the victims, we're in front of the firing squad. So now in the next clip, he's going to talk about how they're libertarians, they're against crony capitalism. Then I'll tell you the reality. Watch.
So to truly help the poor and the economy, we have to eliminate this cronyism. We have to eliminate welfare for the rich.
He seems like he's saying the right thing there. Eliminate cronyism, eliminate welfare for the rich. Hey, great, look at that, they're being principled. Nonsense. Charles Koch personally founded the Institute for Energy Research. You know what the Institute for Energy Research does? It defends oil subsidies that go to, you guessed it, Koch Industries. That is cronyism 101. That is the definition of welfare for the rich, where the richest oil companies in the world, including Koch Industries, that has business in the oil industry, get subsidized, get money, millions of dollars from the American taxpayer goes into their pockets. Oh, we should stop that. That's really funny. Hey, you politician over there, make sure you vote for my millions of dollars in subsidies so that you can pay me off for this wonderfully lavish weekend I'm giving you. No, they love crony capitalism. They're the purveyors of crony capitalism. And they get these guys who kiss their ass and call it a think tank. So, oh yeah, look at all my smart people that I got from my think tank. Here's another one, Will Ruger, who's going to make an insane analogy.
Clearly see the difference between free societies and collectivist regimes in this nighttime satellite image of the Korean Peninsula, where the collectivist North is literally in the dark due to its poverty. This is what collectivism is. So
he's saying we're going to wind up like North Korea if we don't, if we raise the minimum wage. So if we pay workers a little more than $7.25 an hour, that's it. All the lights are going to be off. We're going to be like communist North Korea. In fact, Fink, the main grand strategist here, is going to take that analogy and go further with it.
The main retreat ground for totalitarianism, for fascism, for conformism, when people feel like they're victims, and what we do is we take away their jobs and we make them dependent. So the big danger of minimum wage isn't the fact that some people are being paid more than their value added. That's not okay. It's not that it's hurting small business. That's not very easy. But it's the 500,000 people that will not have a job because of minimum wage. Because there is no such thing as a dead-end job. As Martin Luther King said, a paraphrase is, every job is an opportunity. Okay, it's a start. And now what they're doing is we're taking these 500,000 people that would have had a job and putting them unemployed, making them as part of the government program, and destroying their opportunity for earned success. Okay, so we see this is a very, very big part of recruitment in Germany in the 20s, when the Germans were crushed by World War I. The Allies put a very strong settlement on that. They lost their meaning in life. And if you look at the Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, you can see that they're partying, they're loose, they don't know what to do, whatever. And what happens is a fascist comes in and offers them an opportunity, finds the victim, Jews or the West, and offers them meaning for their life. Okay? The nation, Germany, the superior race. And they get intellectuals and professors and people to do the most prolific things. And this is not just in Germany, it's in Russia, in Lenin and Stalin's Russia, and then now. I mean, this is the recruitment ground for fascism. And it's not just historical, it's what goes on today in the suicide bombers.
Now, if you just read all the text of that speech right there, or heard him in the background, he just said raising the minimum wage would lead to us becoming Maoists, or like Stalin, or like the Nazis, or like suicide bombers. So if you, God forbid, you should get paid $7.50 an hour, boom, here comes Stalin and suicide bombers. How do you like that for fear-mongering? These are their thinkers. He's their grand strategist. Okay, now, he then, in the heart of his speech, and this is my favorite part, broke the country down into three groups. He said there's the freedom third, that's very sophisticated. The collectivist third, that's the ones who want to turn us into Maoists and Stalin and all that, by actually working together and caring about your community. And then he says there's the non-ideological middle third of the voters. And he says those are the guys that we've got to appeal to. So, first of all, he explains why they fight for tax cuts and deregulation and why that message doesn't work. That's really interesting. Now, watch, and as you can see here, you got to read.
We want to increase regulations. Why? Because we can make more profit.